If you want a chainsaw bar and chain to last a long time, a high quality oil is supposed to make a big difference, but the question is that $10 gallon of oil just as good as the one that cost about $30? In the first test, we'll see how well each of the bar and chain oils performs at lubricating and keeping the bar and chain cool. We'll see if the motor oil performs well or even better than bar and chain oils. We'll compare the flow of the bar and chain oils at both summer and winter temperatures. I sent the oils to an independent oil testing lab so we can compare their ingredients. To test the oils, I'll be using an almost new Stihl MS250, which won the Chainsaw Showdown in a previous video. I bought 6 new bars and 6 new chains all at the same time from the same Stihl dealership. Each bar and chain oil will have a dedicated bar and chain. Before we kick off our first test, let's go ahead and send off oil samples of each bar and chain oil to the oil testing lab. We'll compare the oil lab test results later in the video. I always shake oil containers before taking a sample just in case some of the additive package falls out of suspension. At a price of only $10 for a gallon or just $2.50 per quart is this Harvest King bar and chain oil. Formulated with high quality base oils and specialized additive package. High-tack, no-sling additive helps keep chain lubricated. Extreme pressure additives lubricate under heavy load and shock load conditions. The Harvest King is made in USA. This is a close-up view of the bottom side of the chain that comes into direct contact with the bar. Since the chainsaw chain rides on top of the bar, the only thing separating the chain from the bar will be the chainsaw oil. I'll mark each bar to avoid a mix-up. We'll compare the amount of wear that takes place after running a full tank of gasoline through the saw. I'll also make sure that the chain tension is the same for each of the brands. Unfortunately, the wooded area of my property has quite a few dead trees. So let's put the dead trees to good use comparing the bar and chain oils. And this tree is just full of carpenter ants and they'll be coming after me. And the Harvest King claims to have extreme pressure lubricants and it seems to be performing well. And the Stihl saw has a very high chain speed and there's a small amount of smoke coming from the bar and chain. And it's been close to 20 minutes and the saw is finally out of fuel. And the hottest part of the chainsaw bar is at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Not all the chains are going to dull at the same rate, so I decided not to use chain weight as a way of comparing performance. I instead measured the amount of wear on the bottom side of the chain that comes into contact with the chainsaw bar. I took the average wear from 4 different lengths. And the Harvest King averaged 1.89 millimeters of wear. If you're out of bar and chain oil, can you just use a motor oil? Let's go ahead and compare this Mobil Delvac SAE30 against the bar and chain oils. It does not appear to be API certified, but it is recommended for applications that use CF or SF oils. I'll go ahead and drain out all the remaining Harvest King bar and chain oil that's still in the saw. And the Mobil Delvac oil is flowing nicely through the oiler port. I'll go ahead and install a new bar and chain for testing the Mobil Delvac motor oil. At just over 2 minutes of use, I had to stop using the saw to tighten the chain. And the Mobil Delvac just isn't tacky enough to stay on the bar and chain. And there's quite a bit of smoke coming from the chainsaw bar. The oil is burning off quickly. It's been close to 20 minutes and the saw is out of fuel. Once again, the chain is pretty loose and it probably stretched some during the test. And the Mobil Delvac is 30 degrees hotter at 280 degrees Fahrenheit. And the motor oil just didn't perform nearly as well as the Harvest King with 2.2 millimeters of wear on average. At a price of $25 for 1 gallon or 3.78 liters is this Husqvarna brand. It's the X-Guard Premium All-Season Bar and Chain Oil. Reduces friction and wear. High tack reduces sling. The Husqvarna is made in USA. I emptied out the motor oil and added the Husqvarna bar and chain oil as well as a full tank of fuel. It just didn't take too long before the bar and chain began smoking. After about 5 minutes of use, there was a tremendous amount of smoke coming off the bar and chain. Unfortunately, at 310 degrees, the chainsaw bar is about 60 degrees hotter than the Harvest King and 30 degrees hotter than the motor oil. And the Husqvarna experienced the most wear yet at 2.22 millimeters on average. Most of the Husqvarna bar and chain oil was used up, but the rest is drained. At a price of $26 is this Stihl Platinum. Contains highly refined oils for maximum lubrication. Concentrated tacking is added to help the oil stay on the saw chain at high cutting speeds. The Stihl oil is blended in USA. And the Stihl bar and chain really began to smoke about 5 minutes into the test. While it is highly subjective, the Husqvarna bar and chain did seem to burn off quite a bit more than the Stihl. After using up a full tank of fuel, the Stihl's chain didn't seem to stretch. And the bar is the second hottest yet, but not quite as hot as the Husqvarna at 295 degrees Fahrenheit. And the Stihl averaged 2.11 millimeters, which is good enough to move into second place behind the Harvest King. At a price of $27 is this Echo brand. For use at 5 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 15 degrees Celsius. Resists high temperatures, extreme pressure, and helps prevent rust. And the Echo bar and chain claims to resist high temperature and high pressures. However, the Echo seems to be smoking quite a bit more than the Stihl bar and chain oil. After a full tank of fuel, the Echo's bar is at 286 degrees, which is almost the same as the Stihl. And the amount of wear with the Echo is the same as the Mobil Delvac at 2.2 millimeters. At a price of $28 for 1 gallon is this Oregon brand. It claims to have a high load carrying capacity. It claims to be a great setup and storage lubricant. The Oregon bar and chain oil is made in USA. After about 10 minutes into the test, there's a small amount of smoke coming off the bar and chain. While it is very subjective, the Oregon seems to be doing much better with a lot less smoke compared to the other brands. After a full tank of fuel, the chain did not stretch. match. And the bar temperature is about the same as the Echo's at 291 degrees. However, the chain did experience less wear at 1.86 millimeters. Looking at just the chainsaw bar temperature, the Harvest King stayed the coolest at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Mobil Delvac finished in second at 280, but the rest of the competition was within a few degrees. Comparing the amount of wear on the chainsaw links, the Harvest King came out on top at 1.89 millimeters. Oregon finished in a close second at 1.95 and Stihl 2.11. Let's compare the oil flow of bar and chain oil both at 70 degrees Fahrenheit and at around 10 degrees to simulate winter conditions. I'll compare 3 brands at a time at Ambient first with Harvest King in lane 1, Mobil Delvac lane 2, and Husqvarna lane 3. And Harvest King is lightning fast out of the gate, but the Mobil Delvac and Husqvarna are also very fast. And Harvest King is pulling away from the competition and just crossed the finish line in only 3.39 seconds. Mobil Delvac 4.43 seconds and Husqvarna 8.77. Let's compare the Stihl, Echo, and Oregon oils next. Stihl in lane 1, Echo lane 2, and Oregon lane 3. And the Oregon is the first out of the gate, but this is also a very tight race with the Echo in a close second. All 3 oils are barreling down the track, but the Oregon is gone and just crossed the finish line in 5.36 seconds. Echo finished in second at 7.12 and 8.67 for the Stihl. The Harvest King and the Mobil Delvac did flow the fastest at ambient temperature. This seems to explain why the bar temperature stayed cooler with these 2 brands during the first test. Let's repeat this test, but this time after cooling down the oils to around 10 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll come back to this test later in the video. Up next, let's compare the lubricity or the film strength of each of the oils. I'll first add 40 milliliters of oil into the test cup. I'll coat the test wheel and pen before the test begins to avoid causing damage from a dry start. This test will definitely give us a good idea on which oils are best at handling extreme pressure. This will be a shorter but more intense test compared to the standard motor oil test. Looking at just the watt meter, the Harvest King appears to be performing very well. I always mark test pins to avoid a mix-up. I'll measure the size of the wear scar under a microscope to get an accurate measurement. And Harvest King performed very well at just under 7 millimeters. Before testing the Mobil Delvac, I'll clean the tester with brake parts cleaner and I'll sand the test wheel. And the Mobil Delvac motor oil isn't nearly as tacky as the Harvest King, but it probably has a much better anti-wear additive package. And the energy use meter looks about the same as it did with the Harvest King. And the Mobil Delvac also performed very well in this test. Harvest King is on the left and the Mobil Delvac is on the right. And the Mobil Delvac performed quite a bit better with the wear scar of only 6.34 millimeters. And Husqvarna seems to have a lot more tack compared to the Mobil Delvac and about as much tack as the Harvest King. Even with having good tack, the energy use meter is showing higher energy use at the start of the test. And the Husqvarna really struggled on this test with the largest wear scar yet of 7.92 millimeters. The $10 Harvest King is on the left and the $25 Husqvarna is on the right. And the Harvest King definitely offers a lot better wear protection. Just like the Harvest King and the Husqvarna, the Stihl bar and chain oil also seems to have very good tack. Unfortunately, there's a lot of grinding and there seems to be a lot of wear taking place. Energy use remained very high during the test, so there's a lot of friction. And the wear scar in the test pin is very large at 9.46 millimeters. Just as a point of reference, the Harvest King is on the left and the Stihl is on the right. Some very surprising results to say the least. And the Echo doesn't seem to be nearly as tacky as the Harvest King, Husqvarna, and Stihl. And there's a lot of noise coming from the tester, and the energy use meter is a good indicator that there's a lot of wear taking place. Just like this Stihl, there's a lot of damage to the Echo test pin at 8.51 millimeters. Harvest King is on the left and the Echo is on the right. And once again, the $10 Harvest King offers a huge advantage for wear resistance. And the Oregon seems to offer very good tack as the oil is clinging to the test pin. And the energy usage is just a little bit more compared to the Harvest King and the Mobil Delvac. And the Oregon performed quite a bit better than average with a wear scar of 7.43 millimeters. The Harvest King test pin is on the left and the Oregon is on the right. Both bar and chain oils perform very well, but it's definitely a win for the $10 Harvest King oil. The Mobil Delvac motor oil performed the best with the smallest wear scar of 6.34 millimeters. Harvest King finished in second at 6.98 millimeters and Oregon 7.43. Some of the bar and chain oils experienced a lot more smoking compared to others. So let's compare how much evaporative loss they experienced at around 330 degrees Fahrenheit. Each of the test pots weighs a different amount, so I'll measure out precisely 200 grams of oil for each of the first 3 brands. And the test will last right at 2 hours. I'll rotate the pots every 10 minutes just in case there are hot spots on the griddle. And all the bar and chain oils are very close to the same temperature at 330 degrees Fahrenheit or 165 degrees Celsius. The highest chainsaw bar temperature on the first test was only 310 degrees. However, the contact point where the bar and chain come together was most likely a lot hotter. The 2-hour test is over and I've allowed the pots to cool for an hour. And Harvest King started off at 394.56 grams and it now weighs 392.47, a loss of 2.09 grams. The Mobil Delvac started off at 429.9 grams and now it's down to 428.86, a loss of only 1.04 grams, which is half as much as the Harvest King. And Husqvarna experienced the most evaporative loss yet, going from 404.8 to 402.66 grams. Let's go ahead and repeat this process for the Stihl, Echo, and the Oregon. And the 2 hours is finished and the oil is cooled. And the Stihl has gone from 404.64 to 403.91, a loss of only 0.73 grams, the best yet. And the Echo dropped from 394.56 to 392.26, a loss of 2.3 grams, the most yet. And the Oregon oil became a little bit darker but performed by far the best yet with a loss of only 0.41 grams. Very impressive. An oil that can take a lot of heat is one quality that really helps protect the bar and chain. And the Oregon came out on top with a loss of 0.41 grams. Stihl finished in second at 0.73 grams. The oils have been in the freezer for 24 hours. So let's see how well they flow at 10 degrees Fahrenheit. And once again, the Harvest King is out of the gate first, trying to outrun the Mobil Delvac motor oil. And all the bar and chain oils are designed for all-season use, but the Harvest King is proven to be the king of this matchup and easily outpace the other two brands. And it's the Harvest King for the win in the first heat in 18.5 seconds. Mobil Delvac finished in second in 32 seconds and Husqvarna in a minute and 20 seconds. The lineup for the second heat includes the Stihl in the left lane, Echo in the middle, and Oregon on the right. Once again, the Oregon is out of the gate first and barreling down the track, holding a narrow lead over the Echo. And the Stihl brand is really struggling. And the Oregon just crossed the finish line in 46 seconds. Echo finished in second in 94 seconds, and the Stihl finished in right at 2 minutes. It's been 2 weeks since I finished testing the bar and chain oil, and the lab results are back. A quick look at the oils for excessive contamination, and all the oils look just fine. And the Mobil Delvac has the highest level of detergents and dispersants at 3,930 parts per million, which is quite a bit. Harvest King has 1,003 parts per million and Husqvarna 325. So these brands are going to do the best job at keeping the bar and chain oiler clean. In my opinion, the anti-wear content of oils is extremely important. And the Mobil Delvac won the Lubricity test, and it's pretty easy to see why with such a robust anti-wear additive package. Harvest King finished in second place on the Lubricity test, and it has the second best additive package. I'm really surprised by the lack of anti-wear additive in the Stihl bar and chain oil. This helps explain the Lubricity test results. So the Harvest King and the Mobil Delvac offer the best cold temperature flow in the lineup. However, Oregon finished in a close third. So which oil is the best? The very affordable Harvest King dominated the showdown with an average finish of 1.7. The Mobil Delvac motor oil finished in second with an average finish of 2.3. Oregon finished in third with an average finish of 2.6. Maybe too much emphasis is being placed on oil flow. So removing that from the equation, Harvest King still came out on top, but the Oregon and Mobil Delvac are now tied for second place. So why not just use motor oil? In a pinch, I have used motor oil. However, motor oil lacks tack, so it doesn't stay on the bar and chain as well. I've definitely been buying the wrong bar and chain oil, and it's always a good day when the least expensive product performs the best. All the videos in this channel, including this one, are viewer suggested. So if you have a video idea, I hope you'll take time to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Please take care and look forward to next time.